everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's video. In today's video, we're going to be filling this big gap that's on my wall. As you can see, I took down the honeycomb wall plates and I plan to replace it with the Skadis wall plates. So I went ahead and printed 20 of these plates and 20 of these plates so that we could replace all of the honeycomb plates on the wall. Now there's a couple of reasons why I want to replace the honeycomb wall plates. One is it's hard to design stuff custom for it. Just trying to keep track of all of the triangles and moving across and up and what the spacing and all of that is can kind of be a bit of a chore, and maybe the juice isn't quite worth the squeeze on that. And it looks like designing custom things for these Skadis plates looks pretty easy. And honestly, you could actually make these Skadis plates as well. It wouldn't be that hard to do. So in today's video, I'll go over which plates that I use to print. There's several out there, but I'll show you which ones that I used and which settings I used in Bamboo Studio in order to do that. But we'll also go over how I'm mounting it to the wall, which is again another great project. I'll show you what I did in Fusion 360, but you could do the same thing in the CAD software of your preference. The last thing that we'll do is we do need a way to connect the plates together to span across the studs where we'll be mounting them to the wall. So we will go over that project in Fusion 360 and design that for today's project. So if all that sounds good, then sit back and relax and I'll get everything ready. All right, so here we are in Maker World on AU3D's page here, and they have a ton of these different wall plates, 99 sizes or whatever. I think I did the largest one right here. So I'll go ahead and get that downloaded with their settings brought over and everything, and see you in Bamboo Studio. All right, so here we are in Bamboo Studio, and this is what happens when you open it up. You get all the different sizes of the plates, which is pretty cool. All the ones that I printed out were this size plate right here. You'll see that the seam position was changed, as well as the strength of the wall loop and the bottom shell layers was changed. It does take a little while to print these large plates, and they do take up the whole thing. The BQ or Big Tree Tech frostbite plate was perfect for these. But they do take 3 hours and 37 minutes, or about 3.5 hours, since you're not doing calibration on those plates. Takes about 3.5 hours for each plate. So I printed out 40 of them. So do the math on that. Quite a few of them. So let's go ahead and take a look at the plates up on the wall. All right. So the wall has been cleared of the honeycomb, and we're starting to put these plates on here. But I want to show you some of the design considerations that we're going to need to look at as we're putting this up there. So in the beginning, I showed you the little wall mounts, and I'll show you again here. And you'll see that they have slots on the top. And really what that's for is for like screws like this. You need to be able to hit one of these, so that needs to be able to slide back and forth on the stud that you find for it. So you'll notice that we use our stud finder, and sure enough, we're right on the stud on each one. So, it's about 1.5 plate between each of the studs, and you do want those grooves in there so it can kind of slide back and forth, so that you can catch this little slot with this screw right here. And I'll leave a link to these screws for Amazon in the bottom below. The next thing that we need to do is to be able to connect these plates together. But since there's a little bit of a gap behind these, we need to be able to keep it from pressing in on the wall like that when we do that. So that second piece that I'll show you here has a little standoff on it so that we can put that behind the plate and then connect these, and then that will sit there so you can't push the plate into the wall. That way you have a good distance behind it all the way around the plate, and it's not moving like it is right now with the plates. So we do need to be able to connect them, but also keep it from moving and hitting the wall right there. All right, so let's jump into Fusion 360 and look at designing these two pieces. All right, so here we are in Fusion 360 with the wall mounts already made. We won't go through the very long process of making that. It took all of 5 minutes or so. But what you can see here is I'm able to control the height of the wall and the wall plate so it doesn't have to be too tall. Some of the other ones that I saw were too tall or too short. And then I have a slot here so I can move them back and forth and then secure it twice on there. And then this is where the wall plate itself mounts to, through the little slot and everything. So the sketch itself looks pretty intimidating, but it's fairly easy. I just made a square, rounded the corners, made a circle, made a pattern of that circle here, drew a line from each circle inward, and then cut everything out, and then that left me with this one inner part right here. And then I just did an outline, is what it's called in Fusion, and just did two of those outlines from there, and then put this center hole in the center of this, and then made I think it's a 5 millimeter, a little bit over 5 millimeter hole in the center there in order to make this little plate, and then extrude and cut and all of that stuff, and all of that later gives us this little piece here. So again, once you've made something in Fusion, it's real easy to 3D print it. You can just select here and go to 3D print. And as long as you select this, and as long as you've selected your application under custom here, it will send it to Bamboo Studio. So we go ahead and hit OK, and it will open this up in Bamboo Studio for us. And as you can see, it's ready to print, so we can change the color of it to the white ones that I had there. And then one of the things that I did with these was change the strength to 25. And then you can right click and hit fill bed with copies, and then go ahead and print it out. And a full bed of these take about almost 5 hours, which isn't bad for 20 of them. So that's a good amount of them. So now that we have these going and printing, let's go ahead and design the little piece that's going in between each of the wall plates. All right, so here we are in Fusion 360. So let's go ahead and build this little connector that will help us connect the plates together horizontally. All right, so we'll go ahead and start a new sketch on this bottom plane here. All we're really going to be making here is squares and lines, so you can kind of follow this in your CAD software of choice, or here in Fusion 360. These are the kinds of projects, if you really want to get good in CAD, these are these practice projects that are really simple if you're a beginner like me, that I would highly encourage you to take the time to do instead of just downloading the STL file. See if you can make it on your own. So let's go ahead and make a square that is 50 by 30. And even if you're following instructions from somebody else, create these things within here. It's definitely worth the time. So we'll go ahead and create our square there. And one of the things that we want to do here is have rounded corners on here. So we can just hit our little round thing here, click on these, and we'll want 5 millimeter on there. And if we just click each of the sides here, we can round all of those corners, hit enter, and now we have that. We can finish our sketch. We do need to extrude this. This is our base piece here, and the height of the wall adapters is 11 millimeters. So we do need to extrude this 11 millimeters so that it puts the other end of the plate at the right height. We'll select new component, hit OK, and we'll see we have that base there. Now we need to build some sort of hooks that go into those little slots on the Skadis plate that we can connect these to, and they are 40 millimeters apart horizontally and 50 millimeters apart vertically if you want to make a vertical one. If you want to make a vertical one, make this block a little bit bigger, maybe 60 millimeters. So we'll need to create two squares on here that we can extrude up to start to make the hooks there. So let's go ahead and get that done. We'll start a new sketch on this plane here. And then let's make a square. And I measured everything out, and this needs to be 4.7 by 6.35. And that will give us a good base for this. Now, if you do the math, to center this, we need to make this 11.825 millimeters away from here. And we will see that if we inspect from here to here, we also get 11.825. So we are centered. And then we do need to be 2.65 millimeters away from the edge here and on the other square. So let's go ahead and do that. And how I found these out is by measuring and then trial and error. I'm not going to go through all the trial and error on the video, but I'll kind of give you the guidelines here so you can follow step by step and create this for yourself. Now, there's a couple of ways that I could do this here. I could create a rectangular pattern and make just a second copy and, extend it out and do all of that. Or another way that I could do this is just double click on the square, hit Control C and Control V for copy. And I don't want to, move any of this stuff because it needs to be, the same centered here. So if I just move this square right here, I can move it over, hit OK, and then all I have to do is make sure this is 2.65 millimeters, which it is. And we're good to go for the two little hooks. And this same distancing or whatever from here to here, you can always inspect that. That'll be the same anytime you do that. And it's 35.3 millimeters, and the spacing between each of those slots on center is 40. So if we go from inside to inside, we'll see that this is exactly 40 millimeters. Again, on the vertical one, this spacing needs to be 50 millimeters if you're doing a vertical connection. This is for horizontal between the plates. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this sketch. We'll hit E for extrude. And this needs to go up 10 millimeters. So we'll hit that, make sure it's joined, hit OK. And then we have the tower sitting up. And now all we need to do is create a square here and create a square here and extrude those out, and we'll have our little hooks. It's really, really easy. So go ahead and create a new sketch. Go on this plane right here. Create a line, and just somewhere up here, make sure it's 90 degrees, and then let's take our measurement tool. So this distance needs to be 4.35. We'll finish sketch, and then let's do the same thing on this pillar. Be careful not to put this in the center or whatever, like right there, because then it won't let you measure the distance here on this. So again, 4.35. We'll finish that sketch, and then we'll hit E for extrude and extrude both of these out 5.5 millimeters. Make sure it's joined, make sure it's sticking out the right way, and hit OK. So there's the little piece that'll connect these horizontally. Again, all you need to do is adjust the orientation and add 10 millimeters to the distance from here to here, to make the vertical ones. Now there's one more thing that's going to be super helpful, and if you stayed this long in the video, you're going to learn a really neat trick if you didn't know this one already. But we're going to go into the slicer, and we need to make sure that we make this connection between these two really, really strong. If we leave this as infill up here, it's just going to snap off as soon as we try to connect the two plates together. It won't be strong enough. So I'll meet you in Bamboo Studio, and I'll show you how to make this connection super strong. All right, so here we are back in Bamboo Studio, and here's the little piece that we made in Fusion. So now let's do a little trick that'll help make this connection between these really, really strong. Basically what we're going to do is change this from having an infill to being solid, but only from, just below the top of this piece all the way up to the top. And if you didn't know this trick, this is how you can set adjustable or different height ranges to modify things by the height range, and it's height range modifier. So you select that, and that gives us this cool little thing right here where we can adjust a range of the height here. So you'll see it's set from 0 to 2 millimeters right now. And really what we need is from 9 millimeters, which is 2 millimeters down from this 11 millimeter extrude that we did here, up to the top, which is about 22 millimeters. So all we have to do that is go in here and select 9 here, and then select 22 here, and you'll see that our height range has been modified, or we have a height range that we can modify here. So within here, we can change layer height, we can change all kinds of stuff in here, but what I want to do is just go to the strength and change this to 100. We can't do that with grid, but we can do that with rectilinear. So we'll change that to 100. And now from here up, it will be 100% infill or solid, and that'll make sure that this connection is super strong. So anytime you run into a project where you need to connect something like this and you're printing vertically, make sure you incorporate this trick with these height ranges, and you can have multiple of these height ranges as well. So let's go ahead and get this sliced. It's going to take about 15 minutes for it to get done. And then we'll go ahead and test it on the wall and see if all of our measurements and everything were correct. So I'll see you back in the studio. All right, so here we are back in the studio, and you'll see that I have our piece printed and connected right here. And sure enough, it holds it against the wall. So now when I put anything else on the wall, it's going to hold it in place right there. The other thing that we'll need to make is a vertical connector to connect these from here to here, so that we can connect the plates vertically there. But again, it's the same process that we're doing with this one. We just need to turn it the other way so it goes this way, and it's 10 millimeters longer going from here down to the slot at the top there. So I hope you enjoyed today's video, and are excited to move into the Skadis plate if you've been having issues with the honeycomb plate, or if you haven't done any kind of these wall organization plates before. This is a really cool project, and making custom things for it seems to be fairly easy. It looks like the distance between these is 40 millimeters. So that's pretty easy to design for. And then we know the thicknesses of the hook. And I showed you the little trick on how to make these pieces a little bit stronger so that they can actually hold things together without breaking. So I hope you enjoyed today's video and learned some tricks, and this motivates you to get some organization done for yourself. I'm going to spend the rest of the long weekend connecting all of these plates to the wall. So be sure to smash that like button and hit the subscribe button so you can see the next video. And I really appreciate everybody watching. See everybody on the next one. Thanks for watching.